The league stages of the 100 is done. We have our top three teams as well: Southern Brave, Oval Invincibles, and Birmingham Phoenix. But the week gone by, the 4-5 days gone by, we'll look at that as well as what happened till now in this women's competition on this edition of The Outside View, presented by Fast&Up. Let's start off with our regular top performers of the week. And I can think of two names, not one, and both belong to the same team, Southern Brave, the strongest team. And during the preview, Ananya, I mentioned that it is the summer of Sophia Dunkley, and she did well in that game. So she's one of my top performers, a 58 not out in that game. And also Amanda Jade Wellington, 4 wickets for just 12 runs, one of the best figures of this competition so far. So these two, I think I'm not able to pick and choose between these two, but I guess these are my top performers. Do you have any other pick?
Well, I completely agree with you. It is the summer of Sophia and she's continuing that great form. But I'm going to throw in another name, Eve Jones. I think Eve Jones scored 64 against Northern Superchargers in what was a virtual quarterfinal for Birmingham Phoenix against the Northern Superchargers. Came out and I think Birmingham Phoenix kind of went all guns blazing at the top, but Eve Jones held that innings together, 64 of 47 balls, very crucial knock. And apart from her batting, she took a screamer in the field and kind of shifted all the momentum in her team's favor. So I'm going to go with Eve Jones as the top performer. I think she kind of slightly edges her way past Dunkley and Wellington just because it came in a must-win game for her team. So that's my top performer of the week. And again, speaking of Eve Jones, we slide nicely into the top match or the best match of the week. It was again that virtual knockout game, Northern Superchargers versus Birmingham Phoenix. Both teams had to win to qualify for the eliminator, and Birmingham Phoenix, I think none of us gave them a chance. I mean, neither of us gave them a chance going into this final week. Felt like they probably had too much to do to get into that eliminator, but I think they raised their game. Came out, like I said, all guns blazing. Amy Jones, 24 off 11. Eve Jones, a 64. Shafali Verma lasted only 3 balls, but it was a very eventful 3 balls. And somehow they managed to get past Northern Superchargers. I think, again, the Superchargers as well, I think we both thought that they would make the eliminator. Lauren Winfield-Hill played a fantastic knock, but couldn't quite get past the line. The internationals didn't come good. So for me, that was the best game of, well, there were 3 games to choose from, the best game of this week so far.
Yeah, indeed, I agree with you because, as you said, we picked Northern Superchargers to finish in the top 3. And we'd also said that if not the Superchargers, London Spirit could have an outside chance. But here we are, Birmingham Phoenix. That was a terrific match. And Lauren Winfield-Hill had a quiet kind of season up till that point. She made a good 64, but it wasn't enough. Izzy Wong picked up 2 wickets. So completely agree with you that that is one of the best matches of the week gone by, or some few days gone by. Let's move on. Let's look at what happened in the league and let's look at the points table first. We have Southern Brave, who are clearly at the top, 14 points, and there was a middle traffic jam in the middle, 7 points a lot, 6 points in that last week. But now we have our clear top 3, Oval Invincibles and Birmingham Phoenix, and rest fall behind them. But was a very sorry series for Welsh Fire, isn't it, Ananya? We look back at that league stage. Clearly was one of the weaker teams coming into this competition, and they kind of lived up to that billing, I must say.
Yeah, I think at the start of the tournament, we did mention that the losses that they had, the internationals that pulled out, it felt like just the shoes were too big to fill. And while I think Hayley Matthews had a pretty good tournament for them, they couldn't quite find the runs or the wickets from the domestic players. I think Sophie Luff, for me, was a big disappointment. You know, there were high expectations from her. She has been a very consistent performer in that domestic circuit. Sarah Taylor, a little rusty, and you'd expect that, but it was great to see her back. So not surprised that Welsh Fire finished at the bottom, but for me, the biggest disappointment was probably Trent Rockets. You look at that roster and you think they should have maybe made the eliminator, but not to be. I think they didn't use their resources well enough. We discussed that in detail through these briefings. So yeah, I think for me, biggest disappointment, Trent Rockets.
But what's interesting is that, yes, the league stages are done, but the top run scorer in Jemima Rodrigues and the top wicket taker in Sammy-Jo-Johnson, both of them won't be in that finals weekend. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. And I think what it proves is that in tournaments, you can't always rely on individuals to get you through. They'll win you the odd game, but it is going to be hard for them to win you enough games to get into those eliminators. So, we've seen from the 3 teams that have made the cut is that there have been players, throughout the team who've been performing consistently. They probably haven't, topped the run charts or topped the wicket taking charts, but they are somewhere there in the middle, and there are 2 or 3 of them who are doing that. So it's disappointing, especially from an Indian point of view, that Jemima Rodrigues couldn't quite get her team into the top 3, but she had a fantastic tournament, and we've spoken about it a lot, that it should give her a lot of confidence going into that Australia series. And Sammy-Jo-Johnson again proving her worth as a good short form player. She finished the top wicket taker in the WBBL last time and continuing that form this year as well.
Right, now let's look ahead to what is left in the 100 women's competition. 2 clashes to decide the winner, the first of which is the eliminator between Oval Invincibles and Birmingham Phoenix. Birmingham Phoenix, I think, Ananya, is the Mumbai Indians of this 100. They kind of lost at the start, kind of only to make it to the playoffs, but they'll be missing Shafali Verma, isn't it?
Yeah, big loss. I mean, it's interesting that we say that because she hasn't had the best tournament. So it's not like they've relied heavily on her, but I think just the impact that she can have, the possibility that comes with her walking in, and you know that she can, take the game away from you as an opposition. So it is a big loss for them. But the remaining batters have had a good time through this tournament. The 2 Joneses have been their mainstays with the bat. So as much as you miss her presence in that eliminator, I don't think they'll quite, she hasn't lived up to her billing in this tournament, so they won't maybe miss the runs as much. But having said that, they have the momentum on their side. They are playing like the Mumbai Indians of this tournament. But I just feel like Oval Invincibles, they look like the better team, but they have found ways to win these close games. So I feel like if Oval Invincibles are chasing, I'm going to put my money on Birmingham Phoenix. We haven't seen the best of Oval chasing.
Yeah, true that. And by the looks of it, I think Oval should make it, but yes, Birmingham are there to kind of just make our predictions go wrong. Looking ahead again, the finals, there's no Smriti Mandhana as well in that Southern Brave unit. They played just 1 game without her. Your thoughts on how that might impact that final?
Well, again, like I said, I think with Southern Brave, they've found contributors through that lineup, whether it's Sophia Dunkley, whether it's Danny Wyatt. With the ball, you have Amanda Jade Wellington, who's found some form and who's bowling like a dream. So, while again, they'll miss that presence, they have enough match winners, I think, in that lineup to get them over the line. And, you'd be completely mad to bet against a Charlotte Edwards team in a domestic competition. She did it in the KSL, Southern Vipers won. She did it in the RHF trophy again, Southern Vipers won. So you'd kind of, be going against the tide to bet against her, I think.
Right. So 2 matches is what is left to decide the winner of the first ever edition of the 100. You have 2 predictions to make for those of you watching. So do let us know in the comment section who will win the eliminator between Oval Invincibles and Birmingham Phoenix, and also the title clash between Southern Brave and whoever wins the eliminator. Right. We'll catch you after the final on this very show, The Outside View, presented by Fast&Up.